Welcome to A Walk in My Stilettos, where our goal is to help you walk in your greatness. I'm your host, McKinney Smith. The purpose of this show is to inspire you to walk in your greatness. We have conversations with amazing women that are letting us take a step into their stilettos. I get inspired when I see a woman succeeding, but what inspires me more is her backstory and mindset on how she got there. So today's guest is about to bless us with her testimony, and since you're already here, you may as well subscribe. Today we have Tracy Asencio. I really hope I'm not butchering your name, girlfriend. She's an award-winning publicist who works with some of the most notable brands in the country, such as MillerCoors, Honda, Brown, Forman, Red Bull, executing media relation plans and assisting with strategy development, program coordination, and administration. She's an account supervisor for Bacardi Multicultural at Team Enterprises, developing relevant, engaging, and disruptive multicultural programming across the Bacardi portfolio of brands. Please welcome to the show, Tracy.
Nice. Hello. Thank you for having me, McKinney. Super excited to chatting with you. Love these kind of conversations.
Thank you so much
girl power all day.
I love it. Thank you for agreeing to come on and share your gems with us. And I probably should have asked you beforehand. I thought about it as I was reading your last name. I was like, okay, please. Did I pronounce it correctly?
You said it right. Okay. Yes, Asencio. Yes, absolutely.
Love it. So that leads right into my icebreaker question, because I like to start with this question just to, get a sense of where people are coming from. And oftentimes we have all these titles as women that we go by, but a title that's not given enough significance is our name. So my first question to you, Tracy, is do you know what your name means?
Yes, I do. So it is derived from the Irish word tresage, which basically translates into warlike, fighter, higher, more powerful, and superior. Yes, it's a very powerful name my daddy gave me.
I love it.
And I do feel like I embody all of those adjectives. So, yeah.
Wow. I think it's beautiful. So even the definition that you just gave, and when I looked it up, it came from, like, how a name can come from different countries or whatever.
Yeah.
So it had a list of meanings from different countries. And when I looked at the American meaning, Tracy meant brave. Yeah. When I looked at the Latin meaning, Tracy meant bold. So no matter, you know, which version of it you looked up, it was on point.
Yeah. It's so crazy because I love to say this. My father named me and my brothers all after motivational speakers because he always said that this would help us to grow up to be great people. And I was named after Brian Tracy, who's like a motivational speaker.
It. Yeah.
And, I never really thought about looking up my name or what it meant. But as of recently, I always wanted to see, like you were saying, it connects back to who we are, like in a way. Unconsciously, our parents give us our names, but also kind of gives us a personality. And when I, looked up my name, I was like, wow, every adjective, just like you just described, really is a part of me and who I am. And a lot of people can describe me as such. So yes, Tracy suits me very well.
I love it. I love that your father named you guys after motivational speakers. I think that's so powerful. Yes. That is so powerful. Yes. I love it. Okay. So let me ask you this. What did you want to be when you were a little girl?
Oh my God. I love this question. So I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
I always wanted to be a teacher because I always saw teachers as these leaders who demanded attention and respect. And from a young age, knew that I was not born to follow, but to lead. And from a young age, I guess I was exposed the most to teachers. And so I wanted to be a teacher because I felt like that was a position of power. And so I would always play school with my little brother and my cousin, and I would be the teacher, and I would get to boss them around, and they would look up to me. And it was fun because, it gave me this, it would empower me to kind of be the leader, but also teach. And I think that was always like in the back of my mind, is to be a teacher.
I think that's beautiful. Like we're all responsible for molding the next generation. And, no matter what form of
Mhm.
leadership that you're in, it's your responsibility to teach. So I think that's awesome.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
can you share with us how did you decide to become a publicist?
So it's crazy because I initially went to school. I got my degree in communications and I minored in psychology. So my concentration was to become a reporter, so more versus broadcast journalism.
Hmm.
And while I was in school, I realized as I interned and, I was like the manager for the television station at the university. And I loved it. I loved everything about the production and journalism world. But once I entered that like NBC, I was in front of the camera. And when I got put in front of the camera, I was like, "Ugh, I can't do this. This is not me. This is just not, I wasn't cut out for this piece because, again, I am a natural born leader. I do consider myself a natural born leader. And I felt better behind the cameras, kind of being the puppet master and coming up with the ideas and coming up with what the people were going to say and, how they were going to say it versus being in front of the camera. And
Hmm.
so I was like, what am I going to do with this communications degree? Because I really thought that it was just broadcasters. And I didn't realize how much what a big umbrella under communication came. So it came, you have marketing, you have PR, you have, journalism. It's just so much. So I started exploring my other options because by this point I'm already a junior in college.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, I got to figure it out. I have to stay with this degree. And so, it really just happened weirdly. There was this program, this scholarship program posted in the university for Latino students, and they offered you the scholarship and a trip to go to this conference where you would learn about how to be a professional. It would help you transition into your career. And then at the end of the conference, they would do this job expo, career expo. And all
Hmm.
these companies would be there, and you get to choose whatever company you wanted to go to and interview with them, whatever. And so I went, I got the scholarship, great. Went to the conference, great. MillerCoors was at the conference. They were the leading sponsor. And everybody, because it was the beer company, it was a booze company, everybody
Right.
wanted that gig. Everybody wanted the gig. The problem was there was only one spot for the gig for the
Mm.
internship, and it was a summer internship. So it was like 500 students at this conference, and I wanted it too. So I wasn't interested in the insurance companies or anything else or sales jobs. I wanted to go work for booze in Chicago. And
Mm.
so, while I was in line, I was like, I don't know what I would do for MillerCoors. I don't know how this relates to my degree. I just know I want to get there. And I know that this is going to be mine. I don't know. I kept in the line just telling myself that this was going to be mine. And when I got to the front of the line, I just basically told the guy, the recruiter, I was like, okay, so tell me, once I get the job, what am I going to be
Yeah.
doing? Where
Speak it
am I going
into
to be living?
existence. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, where are you guys going to put me? How, how are we going to, I just kind of basically talked to him like if I had already got the internship, just got the job.
Hmm.
Went home, whatever. A couple months later, got the call. I got it. I was chosen by the 500 out of 500 students. I became the
Wow.
MillerCoors Scholar for the summer, right?
Wow.
Again, I don't know what the heck I'm doing at MillerCoors. I don't know how this is going to apply to my career. I literally just had graduated already by this point when I got the offer, and I never had been to Chicago a day in my life.
Hmm.
So I went to Chicago. They told me that the internship was to work with the Multicultural Public Affairs Department at MillerCoors headquarters, and I was going to work with Steve Canal, who is now my great mentor. And yeah, that was it. I got there, and one thing led to another, and I ended up from there working with their MillerCoors partner PR agency. When my internship was over, the PR agency fell in love with PR. The PR
Hmm.
agency offered me a job, and then I was in multicultural PR agency ever since. It's been over 5 years.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. So what inspires you most about what you do?
So the most inspiring part of my job, it's empowering and inspiring at the same time because I get to be the one that represents for my culture.
Mm.
In corporate America, there's not many black and brown people, let alone women, let alone Afro Latina women.
Right.
So being able to be in this role that I am and seen as an expert in this space and represent my people is the reason why I wake up every morning and I'm excited every day, like to come to work and really provide my expertise, not only from a marketer perspective, but from a consumer standpoint and knowing what my people want to know, want to see brands do for them. That's a powerful thing, and that really just fills me with joy. And it's what excites me the most.
So, what advice would you give to another woman that's considering getting into the multicultural marketing world?
So for me, I think our biggest asset is being double minority, because basically you are a woman, you are a minority because it's multicultural.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest asset, and it should never be perceived as a shortcoming or a disadvantage or a crutch, but as their greatest weapon. So use it as your greatest weapon and exploit it, and under no circumstance allow anybody to take your power away, because it's yours, you own it, and nobody knows what you know.
Mm-hmm.
So own what you are and who you are,
I love
and
it.
be that.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so being that you work in an environment that is multicultural, being that, like you said, the double minority, I'm sure that my next question, you may have many things that you can think of. So,
Yes.
what are some adversities that you've had to experience to get to where you are today?
I think the biggest, and I even did like a little mini documentary thing or PSA about it, was going into a room and people not knowing what I was. And the question was always, what are you? Like, are you Black? Are you white? Are you Hispanic? Are you what are you? And I
Mm-hmm.
think not being able to fit into any particular bubble because I was all of the above,
Right.
was one of the biggest challenges that I had to overcome. And so, but it was a challenge that I quickly decided to address. I am a very proud Afro-Latina from the
Mm-hmm.
Dominican Republic. I
Yeah.
have both Latino, Hispanic roots as I do African American roots, and I was raised in the United States. So with that being said, I did this PSA called United But Not One People, which is basically shares like the different colors that Hispanic people come in and how we can't be boxed into one place. And this was personal for me and also like educational for marketers, because I think with Hispanics in general, or with all cultures, but we face this a lot in the sense of like, marketers can assume that all Hispanics are the same, but we're
Right.
so different, and we're come in different shapes, sizes, colors. The cultures are different. A Dominican is different from a Mexican and a Puerto Rican, and although our language brings us, tie us together, we still have so many different aspects of who we are.
Right.
And so you got to kind of figure out how to talk to each and every one of us in a different way. And so that was kind of how United But Not What People came about. It was to educate marketers, but also to share my story and to let people know, like, this is what I am. This is who I am. I'm everything that you think I am. But the over-encompassing message is I'm Dominican, I'm Afro-Latina, and I own all of this.
Mm.
So I'm
I
not
love
a
it.
thing. I'm many things.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
When I was in my early 20s, is when I had my first trip to the Dominican Republic. And that was, for me, a learning experience
Right?
about the community. Because honestly, okay, so backstory, ever
Yes.
since I was a teenage girl, I had a thing for Puerto Rican men. I was
Yes, I love
like,
it.
so I was always very visually attracted to any man that looked like he was from Puerto Rico. And I loved the Spanish accent. I like, trust
Yes.
me, girl. So, that was my thing. So
Love it.
my high school sweetheart, I thought when I met him that he was Puerto Rican, and he's
That,
actually mixed. Like, my children are mixed. I'll get into that in a minute, but
yes.
he was mixed. So then when we split 8 years later and I ended up meeting the man who became my ex-husband, I thought that he was part from Jamaica and from like in Jamaica they have, how do I say this? They have Jamaicans that look Indian. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
I
Yes.
because he spoke patois better than I did, I just assumed.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
long story short, he took me to Dominican Republic on our first trip, and when we got off, people thought that we were both Dominican, and
Yeah.
we could both speak Spanish. Like, he took adult Spanish classes, and the only Spanish I knew was from high school, but they thought that
Right.
we were both from there. They thought we were locals, and I was like, mm. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we got to the resort and I was seeing the different, like you were saying, like the different colors of Hispanics
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
different, the beauty and the different skin tones and the, the hair texture, everything. It was so
Right.
diverse. And to me, that was brand new.
Yeah.
So if I hadn't gone to Dominican, I don't know how long it would have taken me to get to that point, but I think that it's beautiful that you make people aware of that because I'm sure that that assumption of, if you're Latina, if you're Hispanic, that it's just one, there's a stereotype.
Yeah. There is. Exactly.
Eh,
Yeah.
The other thing that you mentioned that I wanted to speak to is, when you were growing up and you talked about what are you? People asking you, what
Mhm.
are you? So all three of
Mhm.
my children are mixed and their father is mixed. I come from a different mix of cultures and races in my family. So them being able to
Mhm.
be, racially ambiguous, people are always asking, like, what are you mixed with? What's your background? And they list like
Right.
all the nations in the world.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
But I think there's a huge difference when you grow up mixed in the US versus in Canada.
Right. Oh yeah. There is because in the U.S. is black and white
Mhm.
in all the aspects of the world. I mean, in of all the aspects of the phrase black and white, not necessarily like skin tone or whatever, but you either this or that. And
Mhm.
when you fall into this middle ground, it's like, what the hell? Like, who is this? I remember when I moved to Chicago for the first time. There's not many Dominicans in Chicago at all, and
Mm.
let alone people that look like me. People used to really look at me like a Martian, like if I like was this creature from somewhere else. Like really,
Mhm.
like people would stop and stare, like, what is she? Like she has freckles, but she got like the curly, ethnic hair, but then she's
Mhm.
like light skinned. Like people really would look at me and I would see it, and it's crazy because if you don't fall into that again black and white category, people are like flabbergasted because they don't know, they're not educated, and it's why we have brands are now doing multicultural marketing and
Mhm.
studying the multicultural communities because that's another space that we need to educate people on.
Yes, for sure. Like my middle daughter, she's an influencer online and like on Instagram, she's almost at like 300,000 followers or some craziness. But because she is mixed with Jamaican and Trinidadian and Irish and Native Canadian, she's got such a mix. And then she's got locks and she dyes her hair like bright fire engine red. So people
Mhm.
are like, "Oh my God, what are you?" Like you're so
Right.
exotic looking. Like she built her following
Exactly.
strictly based off of people being curious about her looks. I
Exactly.
think it's an interesting culture that we live in right now. But for you to be a part of, a multicultural marketing team, I think that's amazing because you're educating people on so much.
Mhm. Yeah. Huge.
So I want to ask, I know you mentioned Steve Canal. Do you have any
Mhm.
other mentors or coaches that have helped you along the way?
So number one would be my father, my daddy. My daddy, again, like I told you, he named us after motivational speakers, but it went beyond that. My father was the type that on our way to school we would be listening to motivational speeches, and we would be if he was reading The Secret that month, because he's an avid reader, he
Hmm.
would print out a chapter, and that week me and my brothers, we would have to study that chapter, and on Sunday mornings we would sit down and study and review this chapter.
Wow.
And that built a lot of my consciousness and a lot of the way that I think and approach life on a day-to-day basis. So my dad is definitely number one. I would say God, the Word of God. I'm a very spiritual person, and I do
Hmm.
believe that the Word has gotten me pretty far in life and keeping me grounded and humbled me. I've been blessed, to say the least, but for the most part, I am in such a great place that it wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for God guiding me to this
Hmm.
point and keeping me sane and keeping me grounded.
Hmm.
Steve Canal. Steve Canal is definitely on my top four list. He definitely got me to open my mind to understanding what multicultural marketing was, open my mind to going outside of the bubble of thinking past, communications, and there is more gems within what, I had majored in.
Hmm.
And he put me on. He really helped shape my career. And then life is our biggest coach and mentor.
Yes, it
Experiences.
is. Yes, it is.
um it's the trials and tribulations that make you learn and become a stronger person and better at what you do every day.
The School of Hard Knocks.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
with Steve Cannell and his crew,
Yes.
Anaton, they are
Yes.
amazing. They are amazing
Yes, they
men.
are.
What so many women talk about, oh, there's no good men out here in this world. Yes, those two are married, but they are an example of great men. Like
Yeah. That's
they
why they're married. That's why they're
yes,
married.
exactly. Exactly.
Yes, they are. I met Anaton through Steve. We worked on, a variety of projects together with Exhibit Great Tour. I'm sure you're familiar with,
Yep, I
because
was
both
part
of
of it
them
when
are
they came
great.
here.
Yeah, they're best-selling authors.
Hmm.
So, what better people to have in your corner? And that's another thing that I think Steve, for a lot, is exposing me to folks that will help me become better. And my circle has definitely become a circle of authors and writers and producers and people that are really moving and shaking our
Hmm.
culture. And a lot of that has to do with Mr. Canal.
I love it. I love it. So, I
Yes.
mean, I've been connected with Anatol Barriola for a few years now, and he
Mhm.
connected me to Steve Canal. So they brought the Great Tour to Toronto,
Mhm.
which I helped organize, and then I went when they did it in Miami. And
Mhm.
it was
Yeah.
actually Anaton that connected me to you. And that's why I
Yes.
think these are great men that understand the power of uplifting.
Yeah. They do.
And I think that they need to do a tour showing
Yes.
other men how to empower just on a larger scale.
Yeah.
And you spoke to
Definitely.
your father and him
Yes.
putting you on to the book The Secret.
Yes.
You spoke to two things. So when you one you mentioned the book The Secret, and then two you
Yes.
spoke to God being a coach and
Yes.
mentor to you. So I love
Yes.
that you mentioned the two because
Yes.
for myself personally, I'm a believer in the both, right?
Yes.
So God is definitely the foundation of everything that I do, my source, my strength, my provider. And when
Yes.
I was connected to my mentor, Bob Proctor, who was featured in the
Yes.
documentary, The Secret,
Yes.
I
Oh,
had a
yes.
lot of people in the Christian community that don't understand how you could believe both. They feel like
Correct.
The Secret is Antichrist. But if you actually delve deep into the proper teachings of it without judging it from a superficial level, you'll see that
Mhm.
they are just making it easier for you to understand God's principles and what is written in the Bible.
Exactly.
And everything that I've learned from Bob Proctor has helped me to understand my faith in Christianity even more so.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Wow.
I honestly, yeah, it's crazy because I was having this conversation recently where it's like, I mean, it's all about manifestation. And at the end of the day, whatever higher being or power, whatever you want to put in there, it is what it is. It's whatever
Hmm.
you put out is what you're going to get.
Hmm.
And for me, I just posted this yesterday about like, if you really want something, you need to do three things. You need to know what you want, write it down, and then review it frequently, and then affirm that you have it, know that you have it, and feel that you have it.
Hmm.
And that's all putting these positive affirmations into the universe, whether I pray to God and say, God, I want this. This is how specific I want to be about it. I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to believe that it's mine. Or whether I say universe. It's really how
God created
you,
the universe. Like,
God, exactly. However you want to put it. I think that there is there's a confusion about
hmm,
what the secret is. And the secret is really understanding how we're all connected to nature and how
hmm,
we're all connected to earth and God and everything could be ours if we just really believe and harness that power, because we're more powerful than we really think we
yeah,
are. And
agreed.
so, but all that power comes from God and the universe that God created. So it's all working together.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yes.
So I want to ask you, with everything that you do and all the work that you're putting
Hmm.
in, what is your
Yes.
self-care routine? How do you take care of Tracy?
So I wake up in the morning and I do prayer. I thank God every morning for waking me up, for giving me another day. That really grounds me, and through that I kind of do like I meditate. I do some yoga occasionally. I could be better. And I get my energy from my family. So when
Hmm.
I am drained, and I literally just did this yesterday, when I am drained, all I want to do at the end of the day is call my mother, see my father, hang out with my brothers.
Hmm.
And so I'll literally make time to just be with my family. And being with my family, as cliche as it may sound, is really revamps me, revitalizes me, gives me
Hmm.
energy to go back and, be the best at what I am.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people exercise and a lot of people, do X, Y, and Z. But for me, not only do I physically take care of myself, but emotionally, that's just kind of the way that I go about it.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Prayer and being around family. Those are deep. Like, I think both of them, they ground you. They remind you of what's important.
Mhm. They do. They do.
So
Yep.
I read this article, and it
Yes.
basically says that your favorite type of shoe says a lot about your personality. So I am going to ask you, Tracy. I mean, it's no secret. Mine is stilettos, hence my entire brand. But I'm going to ask you,
Yes.
Tracy, what is your favorite type of shoe? Is it a boot, a running shoe, a flat, a flip flop, a stiletto, pumps, sneakers?
Oh, that's a hard one because I love shoes. I love shoes. So my favorite type of shoe as a girly girl is a good sandal, a high heel sandal. And then secondarily is sneakers. I love sneakers. I'm a Yeezy girl.
Mm.
So, but my mother, which is a great teacher and has also been a great mentor in a way to me, has always told me that a woman doesn't go out without her heels.
Mm.
So heels, being in heels has always been part of my DNA, like part of my thing. And before I leave the house, even when I feel like wearing sneakers that day, I feel kind of guilty because I hear my mother's voice in the background, like, where your heels at, girl? Put your heels on. So a good, comfortable, high heel sandal
Okay.
is
So
where it's at.
it says you're a total girl boss and you know it. You're competitive, resolute, and intimidating to those who can't keep up with your pace. This is the most mature of all the shoes. It's someone who's caring, efficient, and powerful. They're usually in a leadership role. When everything is falling down around you, everyone will turn to the pump woman and say, "What now?" And then you'll take a
Wow.
step back and kick ass and take care of business.
Yes.
Does
I
that
love
sound
it.
like you?
Something, it's so funny you just said that. So I'm sitting in the office. Right before I called you, there was a fire that we had to put out.
Oh,
I
wow.
got my pumps on, and everybody walked in here, all 5 of my teammates, and was like, what do we do now? So that's so funny that you say that because, yes, that definitely describes me.
See,
I mean, I
there you
can't,
go.
humbly speaking, of course.
I love it. So far, it has been
Yes.
completely on point. So,
Yes.
before I go to the final segment of the show, I want you to tell people where they can stay connected with you online.
Yes, the social platform that I use the most is
Mm-hmm.
Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So you can find me at Miss MS Tracy Asencio on Instagram, Tracy Asencio on Facebook, and Tracy Asencio on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Perfect. So, what I will do is I will have the links to your socials in the details below your podcast so people can click on
Yes,
it and follow you directly.
yes, that'd be nice.
All right. So the final segment of the show, it's called A Walk in Her Stilettos. And today we're calling it A Walk in Her Pumps in honor of Tracy. So it's where
Yes,
you answer reflection questions and just share whatever inspiration comes to mind first. So my question to you, Tracy, is if you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say and why?
my face will be on it, but
Mm-hmm.
like it'll be like girl boss photo of me at a
Mm-hmm.
desk or something, or in a room with a whole bunch of corporate men.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll say something like, I want it to be something that encompasses who I am, but
Mm-hmm.
also empowers the next generation of young Afro-Latina women.
Mm.
So whether it be own your identity, own your culture, own who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and then have a picture of me with braids in a office with these corporate men. So it's like own who you are, and everything else will fall in line.
I love it. As you were talking and, you said before, like a boss picture of you with the desk and in the corporate environment. And because you were saying earlier how people used to ask you, what are you? It was
Yeah.
like, be a big question and say, who are you?
Oh, yeah. 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 There it is. Yeah. There it is.
There you go. There you go.
Like, who are you? Because
Yes.
this is who I am. You see, this is who I am. Who are you?
Right.
I love
Right.
it. Yep. That's
Yes.
it. That's my
All
billboard.
right. There you go. There you go. Okay. So name a book that has changed or greatly impacted your life.
There's a few, but I think I would have to say The Secret. The
Mm.
Secret is, and I know I've talked about it already, but The Secret is really where I ground myself
Mm-hmm.
every day, because The Secret, there's the gratitude that comes, the second version of The Secret, which is gratitude. Being able to be so cautious of the right now and kind of being cautious about how powerful the mind is, because the mind is the most powerful computer in the world.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Being mindful of how powerful your mind is, and I learned this in The Secret, and being able to tailor your thoughts to
Yes.
then being positive ones, because whatever you put out in the universe is what you get out of it. So if you
Yes.
put out positive thoughts, you get positive. If you get negative, you get negative. So driving myself every day to work in the morning, I think these thoughts. Today's going to be a great day. Affirmations like, I'm going to do great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be able to get through this, versus dragging out of bed and I ain't trying to go to work in the morning. So
Right.
all of this has The Secret is part of my life now. And I've read it a very lot, like as I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, so The Secret is definitely the book that has had the most impact in my life as of late. Yes.
I love it. I love it because we attract what we focus on. People don't realize
Amen.
that.
They
Sometimes
don't.
I'll know people that will say things. I'm like, how about you never say that again? Because that's not what you
Yeah.
actually want. That's not what you want to happen. So stop saying that. How about we
Stop.
speak
Yeah.
life and say what you want to happen?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So name one of the most worthwhile investments you've ever made. That could be money, time, or energy.
Worthwhile investments that I have ever made. Um, Investment in myself. Investing in believing in myself.
I love it.
Um, Unrelentlessly. Like being able to pass the minority, past being young in the industry, past being the only girl, past being, this person that, what are you? No matter what, that never was a crutch to me.
Mm,
That was always, to me, rather a negative thing that other people may take as negative. I would use it as more of a weapon.
I love that
Yes.
you said that. We've had very many women actually who have
Mhm.
answered that they've investing in themselves, personal development,
Mhm. Mhm.
just in order to be a better person was one of the
Yep.
greatest investments they've ever made because that is how they've multiplied things in every other area of their life.
Correct. Period.
Love
I
it.
mean,
Love it.
you gotta be good with you first before you can
Exactly.
give anything to the world.
Okay. So, what new belief, behavior, or habit has improved your life in the last 5 years?
Journaling.
Mm,
Journaling, being able to put my thoughts down on paper at the end of the day, has really helped me to bring my thoughts down, because when you're in an environment like as fast paced as the one that I'm in constantly, your mind is racing all the time. There's all these ideas and all these things going on, and these events, and plus your personal life. And if you have it all in your head, you can go crazy. And that
mm-hmm.
builds anxiety. It builds all types of things, stress. So being able to write it all down and kind of recapping your day, and just even like, so a side note, doing a to-do list, but really just writing down your thoughts on paper, like how you felt today, what happened. That to me has been the most helpful thing, because I think at first I suffered from anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
and it was bad. It was really bad. Like, especially when I was in Chicago away from my family, and trying to figure, navigate this career, and I don't really know what this is, and how did I get here? And I love it, but I don't know nothing about this.
Mm-hmm.
Having all those thoughts in my mind constantly, and being away, and not really having a personal life, but it was more work than anything else. It just became something that was starting to bring me down, and it
Mm-hmm.
was affecting me. So I needed to find ways to contain that demon, and writing my thoughts, and literally, and I like to write like if I'm writing a story, because maybe
Mm-hmm.
one day my journal could be my story, and
Exactly. Your
and
memoirs.
it is, that's what it is, and
Mm-hmm.
that is literally the most helpful. I recommend it for anybody, writing down your thoughts.
Yeah, they say
That has helped me.
manually writing things down, it engages your mind on a higher level. So between understanding that and the practices I learned from Bob Proctor and the documentary The Secret, that was the motivation for
Mm.
creating my gratitude journal. It's a practice that we need to do every day, but sometimes just saying what you're grateful for isn't enough. When you write it
Yeah.
down, it forces you to think more, it forces you to feel, it forces you to envision things. And
Mhm.
I feel like I created my journal not only for other people, but mainly for myself. Like, it holds me accountable every single day to write these things down. At the beginning of the day, writing down what I'm grateful for, what I'm going to focus on, and what my affirmations are. And by the end
Right.
of the day, writing down what my highlight of the day was, what I wasted time on,
Yeah.
and what I'm going to improve on tomorrow.
Yeah. It just
Love
helps.
it.
It
Yeah.
just helps to bring it all back together.
So, what have you become better at saying no to in the last 5 years?
I became better at saying no, at being available.
Mm-hmm.
I was very available. I'm naturally a person that aims to please, and people tend to take advantage of that. And
Mm-hmm.
so making myself so available and being at every event or being, was draining my energy. And so I really had to take a step back and start saying, I need to, again, take care of Tracy first, because
Mm-hmm.
I can't give you guys what you need from me if I'm not taking care of myself. So the gift, I guess, or it's almost like a skill that you learn of pushing back,
Yes.
is literally what I have almost feel like I may have become an expert in. Like, literally.
If I took account and I did a poll, I could say probably 80% of the women that have come on the show, when I
Yes.
ask them what they've become better at saying no to, it's the same thing. It's events, and it's, people, places, the things that no longer serve
Yes.
you, or that don't serve you, or don't feel good, or that don't give you peace. It's just being comfortable saying no
Right.
to those things. I think it's great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
Just
love it.
like before, I used to be like, oh my God, I'm going to have FOMO. I'm not going to be at the party or hanging out with the homies. I don't care anymore.
No, I
It's
I
okay.
celebrate JOMO. It's joy of missing out, not
It's
fear of missing out.
amen, sister girl. Amen. Amen.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, last but not least, what impact do you want to have on the world?
I love this question. I feel like my purpose in life, and it's funny because it takes a long time for you to figure out what your purpose in life is. And I
Mm-hmm.
honestly have always felt that my purpose in life is to empower women, like young women like myself,
Mm-hmm.
to get to a position where they're so comfortable in their own skin that I wish I was a man, or I wish we had the things that a man had, is no longer a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
being a woman is enough.
Yes.
Being a woman is more than enough. It may be even better. Guys, don't hate me for this. Than being a man, it might even give us the upper hand
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of things. And I think teaching women how to own their womanhood and love it and
Yes.
be empowered by it, that is my purpose. I believe that's my purpose, and I don't want to leave this earth until I fulfill that need in my heart and that hunger in my heart to really empower women to really truly believe in themselves unyieldingly.
I love that. I love it. I love it so much. It reminds me of another guest that I had on the show. Her name is Vivian Kay, and she's the founder of Kinky Curly Yaki. And it's basically hair extensions with kinky hair. So, us women of color that don't have silky straight hair, we want actually
Right.
like 4C hair, or you know what I mean? So,
Oh,
her
I know.
company, she's the founder of that. But when she came on here, she said that oftentimes we don't ask for what we want or stand up for who we are because we're afraid to. And she learned to have what she calls white man audacity. She said, because
Mhm.
they don't feel any way about asking for what they want or speaking up. And she
Right.
she actually posted something recently on Instagram when she's like, when
Mhm.
in doubt, think, what would Chad do?
Yeah.
So
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yes.
right. Right. So
Yes.
you're fully owning who you are, asking for what you want. Like, I think it's too way too often I'm in spaces of women of color that we play small because we don't want to come across as, the angry black girly, or the
Mhm.
spicy Latina, or like all of those things,
Right.
those stereotypes. When if we had that white man audacity, if he could say what he wants,
Right.
why can't we?
Why can't I?
Yeah.
Oh, and girl, I mean, I own it. I mean, people here at work sometimes look at me like, how do you do it? I honestly, if he can do it, so can I. And I might be able to do it better. So, why not? Why not own it? The worst that could happen is you get a no.
Right.
But you gotta be comfortable. You gotta be comfortable with getting rejected. You gotta be comfortable with those things. At the end of the day, when people see that you're so confident in your own skin, I've noticed they respect you for that, and the no is actually become less and less and less a problem.
Yes.
Because people are now like, oh my God, should I say no to her? Oh my God, she is a boss. So I ain't trying to say, I ain't trying to be on her bad side. I ain't trying to be on her bad side. So yeah.
My older brother, when I was little, taught me that, because I used to be extremely introverted. I've definitely evolved like a long way. But my older brother taught me when I was little, because I was afraid to ask for something. It could be something as small as a cookie. I was afraid to ask. And he was like, listen, the worst they could say is no. Just ask. What are you afraid of? The worst they could say is no. Like, they're not going to kill you. Just ask. So,
agree.
Yeah, that's my new thing now. I just ask.
Just ask. Because you never know what you're going to get out of it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Even if they don't say no, they may give you something that you never thought possible. Their answer could be greater than what you were looking for.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Tracy. I appreciate you taking the time to join us and sharing your journey with us. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to potentially continue to work with you.
Yes, definitely. We need to stay connected for sure. Definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. And to all of our listeners, until next time, subscribe to our newsletter at awalkinmystilettos.com. And if you've received value from today's show, share it with a friend that you think needs to hear Tracy's testimony. And be sure to screenshot it, post it on social media, and make sure you tag Tracy and tag myself. Tracy, tell them your @ name again.
Miss Tracy Asencio on Instagram.
There you go. And I am the real McKinney Smith. Thank you for your time, and continue to walk in greatness in your stilettos in a manner worthy of your calling.